Here you have frontal sinus
Yep.
in horse. Here is caudal aspect of the dorsal nasal concha.
Yep.
So we call it dorsal conchal sinus.
Sinus.
Communicate with the frontal sinus. We call it conchofrontal sinus. Okay. Now from frontal sinus you have what? You have drainage here which goes to the maxillary.
Nasomaxillary.
No. First go to the maxillary.
Oh.
Which one? Which compartment? The
Caudal.
caudal compartment.
Caudal. Yeah.
And then this is rostral.
And that's rostral.
Between rostral and caudal,
Bony.
there's a bony septum. Now we know that the caudal compartment actually divides into lateral, much larger than medial.
And is that the infraorbital foramen?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
That's infraorbital canal. See, that's the
or
infraorbital
canal. Excuse me. Yes.
So that's all lateral, and then here you have the medial portion on this side. So actually, can you see it from this side
Yep.
and from this side?
Thank you. Yep.
So now here I am touching the infraorbital. There. So
The-
you see that there? That's the infraorbital canal.
Canal,
Osseous, the infraorbital.
which divides the caudal
To the
Maxillary
lateral,
to
much
lateral.
larger, lateral and medial.
and medial.
So the frontomaxillary opening is from frontal to lateral,
To the
part
lateral.
of the caudal compartment. And then from here, you are going to go through what? Through the nasomaxillary opening in middle nasal meatus between dorsal nasal concha and ventral nasal.
Can you point that out in actually one of these meaty specimens?
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is nasal septum. So that's dorsal nasal concha. This is ventral, you know, the alar fold here. This is middle nasal meatus. Now, in order to go through nasomaxillary, you know that because the septum separate rostral from caudal, you cannot go, for example, to the caudal and go like that because you have septum there. So you have to come back and go to the rostral. So nasomaxillary opening goes through the caudal and rostral, but it cannot go through one to the other. You have to come back and then go to the...
Because the rostral and caudal don't communicate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, other thing that you should know that this one, the rostral one, communicates with the ventral conchal sinus. With the ventral conchal sinus through what? Over the infraorbital canal.
Into the
Ventral conchal sinus. You
And-
see, dorsal conchal sinus here, caudal portion is dorsal conchal sinus. For ventral is caudal ventral sinus here, for ventral. Is all caudal portion of that. Now, how this communicates with the nasal cavity, it just has to go over infraorbital.
Right.
To ventral conchal sinus. Okay.
Okay, and then from the ventral conchal sinus.
Then what's going to be happen here? Then you have nasomaxillary opening that can get through that meatus, through the usually what happening, the problem that you have really mainly is going to be from frontal, which we talk about
Yeah.
that, going through frontal maxillary opening, and then the infection cannot get to the rostral
Right.
because of that particular
Because of the septum. Yeah.
And then the other one is the sphenopalatine that you should know. Sphenoid, you know that this is sphenoid sinus. Sphenoid sinus communicate with what? With the peripendicular part of the palatine bone, not with the horizontal part, with the palatine.
Oh, right. Okay. I was in a different world
how
there.
the sphenopalatine communicate with the caudal maxillary is going to be over infraorbital canal. So the way that infection can go from sphenopalatine, because in horse sphenopalatine communicate with each other. Infection from there can go over the infraorbital
Orbital
canal,
into
go to the caudal compartment of the maxillary. And we know from here we go to the medial, and then we go to the middle nasal meatus.
Can I ask you what that hole is, where my probe?
You mean the hole?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, that's going through the
That's
sphenopalatine.
the sphenopalatine.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
But again, you have here
Infraorbital canal.
canal.
Yeah.
You see? So this has two functions. One, separating caudal maxillary compartment into medial and lateral. The other one is communication between the caudal maxillary and sphenopalatine.
This is literally so helpful
Yeah.
because I have been trying to understand this for like days.
Yeah.